Hey, it's Dord Coach, and a little while ago we did a video about my career in the 80s. You guys seem to like it in the comments, so we're going to continue that with part 2 of my career in the 90s.
All right, guys, so stay tuned and word to your mother. All right, guys, so we're back. And like Coach said, it's all about the 90s, which was the last of the 20th century, back when men were men, beer was still good for you, and holsters were optional. You didn't actually have to carry a holster. So, but, you know, if you are a holster type, you know, you believe in actually securing your firearm when you're wearing it, especially when it's loaded.
Which we highly suggest.
Yeah, we do highly suggest, and we do recommend Vedder Holsters. Vedder Holsters are a big supporter of the channel. They are made in the USA, and you can pretty much find one for any major make and model that you're going to be carrying. So go ahead and check them out in the link below, and let's get back to the craziness.
All right. Now,
Coach,
so we started out, yeah. All right, first thing in the book here is the last picture of me, all decked out, ready to go in my for a night combat equipment jump, just training. And that was on February 14th, 1990, so early in the year. And I went ahead and snapped my tib fib on that one, so yeah.
The double, you know?
Yep.
You got to go both.
Busted leg.
If you only break one, did you really break your leg? You did, but you kind of did it in a half-ass way.
No,
Not this guy.
This was...
Not this guy, you know?
It's a good one.
Feet and knees together, optional.
Yeah. I hit the ground pretty hard, but you know, static line jumping it's rolling the dice, man.
It's terrible.
It was a controlled crash every time you hit, and I hit. I felt it snap, and at the time, I was like, right then, I was concerned that people were going to leave me there on the DZ, so I want to let them know I was there.
I feel that way a lot, even when my legs are broken. In fact, I got left behind once.
First guy got to me, was like, hey, Coach, quit screaming, you pussy. Get your ear pro out. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I could barely hear myself because I still had ear pro in. But, yeah, so they got the boot off. I looked at it and was like, oh, that looks pretty normal. And I went to pick up my leg, and my foot stayed there, and my leg came up. I was like, oh. And the corpsman was like, oh, don't do that. And then everybody else come up there, they'll be like, hey, Coach, what's up? I'm like, oh, yeah, check this out. I go, womp, womp, womp. And the corpsman was not happy with me. It's like, so they trussed me all up, got me to the hospital, and...
How long was recovery?
I recovered pretty quick. It was only a couple of months. But during that time, I was out of the platoon, and I was doing rehab when Saddam invaded Kuwait. So my platoon goes, and I stayed home to recover, which really sucked. Yeah. I was hobbling around right as they were going out the gate, and I tried to convince the Master Chief that I was going to be good to go, and he wouldn't let me go. So I sat that one out, but I got into another platoon as quickly as I possibly could. You know, in order to do that, I had surgery to remove all the hardware that they put in. So.
How long after the injury were you getting stuff taken out?
It was like right at 1 year. So I did this right before we went ahead and deployed. A few months before we deployed for that deployment. And during that time, let's see, that was my 4th cruise and Spec Ops platoon, and we rolled over to the Philippines, and just started working again. So I got back into a platoon as soon as I possibly could, and that was in around 1991 is when we deployed. So we went overseas, just the same as we'd done before. You know, we'd trained up for, you didn't know what you were training for, so training was, it was like your best guess what was going to happen next, right? So we did a lot of cold weather diving. We did, training up in Alaska for cold weather. Yeah, they thought, I don't know, North Korea or Russia or whatever AO was at the time. But then you deploy to the Philippines where it's tropical, and you just go from there.
It's a magical place.
It is. It is pretty magical. And the last time we were there, was the coup had happened.
So this first cruise, you're out in the PI, and it's 1991, and we had ourselves which I guess you could call a natural disaster?
Yeah, it's high on the natural disaster checkoff list that I've got going on here. And it was a volcano, so Mount Pinatubo blew up. That was the biggest thing that happened during that time. Man, it blew up. It was, the ash in the air was so thick that you couldn't see. It was completely black. It might as well have been midnight. You walk around, couldn't really see because the ash kept on falling. So it was just horrible. We didn't have anything to do, so we went out in town and started drinking. And we'd drink in one bar until you hear the moans and groans, and we'd bolt outside, the bar would collapse, and then we'd go to another bar, because what else are you going to do,
In your defense, I mean, what else are you going to do?
What else, I mean, the funny thing was that the ash wasn't even supposed to come our way, but at the time, we were upwind from the mountain, but a typhoon rolled in, so we had a typhoon blowing at the same time, which...
2 natural disasters creating what can only be known as the perfect storm.
Yeah.
So we're in the midst of a perfect storm, and you're at the bar drinking.
Damn right, because what else you gonna do?
Take us further.
I
can't wait.
Yeah. So anyway, we roll out of there. I mean, everything shut down. Everything was done. Next day, you wake up, you look out, and it was a moonscape. You couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. We didn't have any idea. There were no landmarks left. The town looked like some big giant had just squished it, and there were abandoned cars all over the place. And when we wanted to get around, well, nobody was using it. So we just, they were told all the folks from Clark Air Base had come through here to be evacuated. So they left all their cars laying around with the keys in them. So
Air Force,
Yeah,
always
thanks, guys.
Ahead, always thinking ahead, always there to help.
So if they were there, they were already written off. What the hell? We didn't do demolition derbies or anything like that. But if you needed to get someplace, you use an Air Force car, and then you drove it until the air filter, clogged up, it overheated and conked out, and then you'd hop out and either
the next one,
hoof it, or get another one. So they moved us there halfway through the deployment. They were like, well, you can't deploy out of here. So they pushed us over to Guam, and I spent the second half of the deployment 3 months in Guam. And let me tell you, at the time, that was not a good trade. But anyway, did Guam later on. It was a lot nicer, but boy, at the time, rough.
So you get back from that cruise.
Yep, back from that deployment.
And that was your 3rd deployment?
That was my 4th.
4th. Whew.
Yeah.
Whoa, this guy.
Yeah, 4 and 5 years. You can't do that anymore.
No,
man.
you cannot. Cannot.
But I had nothing keeping me at home. It was just like, hey, I was just going to get after it. And this is pre-war, and I figured if you're in a platoon and you're forward deployed, that's your best chance of getting into a fight. Yeah. So during that time, got back from deployment. And, what else? I got married for the 2nd time. Marry the right woman, guys. That's if
important.
You don't learn anything else from watching this. That note there. Marry the right woman. I didn't that time. Anyway, went ahead and I had orders to go to the Philippines and be stationed in the Philippines, and then they closed it on me and sent me to Guam. So the unit moved to Guam
from Subic Bay.
Yep, and I did 2 years there from '92 to '94.
Yeah.
Which pretty much closed out that second marriage, by the way.
That quickly?
It was done.
Impressive.
It was done by then.
Back when men were still men.
Yeah.
Shit can you real quick. I think they still do that, though. I don't know.
Leaving Guam, I screened positive for Green Team, and the command sent me to DLI, Defense Language Institute, to learn Spanish. So I spent 6 months, learning a little Spanish anyway. And then moved East Coast, and went through green team in '95, and got picked up by gold right after that. And I was gold squadron from early '96 to when I left there in 2003. The reason that you go there at the time was that was the best chance you had of getting in a fight. You know, had close calls, missed the damn Gulf War, and I was like, damn, if I'm gonna get in a fight, this is the place to be. And I mean, while you're there, the training is second to none. They do everything that regular, SEAL platoons do, but just to a much higher degree and with a lot more intensity. Training was awesome. The gear. What it comes to, not only the gear that you were issued, but also, how we had fast boats. We had, little cigarette boats that you cruised around in. TF-160, which is the Army's top tier helicopter guys. We flew with them all the time. Little birds and 60s. We jumped a lot. It was a really good time to be a frogman. In the '90s. One of the things that we did a fair amount of, more than the regular teams, was skydiving. The air aspect was pretty heavy. It was one way to get to work, right? Now, I was lucky when I first got back from my first platoon. We were taught in-house. Hey, who wants to learn skydive? I'm like, me. So we had learned that way, and it was kind of. I think I had 50 jumps. When I went to green team, and then you ramp it up pretty quick, and you start doing a lot of night comm equipment stuff, and a lot of boat crew formation, flying at night, really high speed stuff at the time. Got to do a halo from 35,000 feet just over, which was not many people get to do that. And then when you go to more advanced, we started doing air-to-air camera. And back in those days, you weren't just...
Yeah, camera was a camera.
Yeah. These days, everybody's air-to-air camera.
Yeah.
You just put this little GoPro on the side of your helmet and boom, you're air-to-air cameraman. Back then, we had the full-on camcorder. It was bolted to the top of a ProTech helmet. And they'd put a little extra chin strap on there. Let me tell you, man, when it came time to open, your one hand went under your chin to hold your head up while the other one threw the chute out. And just to keep you from getting whiplash, man.
I mean, you guys can see in the picture, this camera's massive. Ooh. And it has that protective housing around it, which just adds to the weight.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys bother with those much, or just...
Nah, you just had that thing strapped on there, and then you had a little lens that would stick in front of your eye that you kind of, had somebody look through this one and go, what am I looking at? Oh, I'm looking at that. Okay, and you adjust that, and that's how you kind of kept people in the screen.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was skydiving was a big part of the curriculum there, and I was on my way to being an advanced free fall guy, but didn't have the war started, and then didn't get
priorities
that done.
change.
Yeah, but at the time, when you're air-to-air camera, that gave you the ability to get the small, sexy sport shoots. You weren't have that big monster that everybody jumped.
Yeah, the MC-10 is the standard.
I think it was MC-1.
Yeah.
Was
yeah, I know. It's MC-10. So that's kind of the standard mil spec big boy.
And they're like 370 square feet.
Yeah,
Things
you
are
can
huge.
land
It's a
like
kite.
3 people on one of those. I
These
think.
were like 230s, and they were like that was like just really
side
racy
pull.
at the time. Yeah, you got to pull out, not your up here, but yeah. So that was that. We did other stuff down in the mission there was worldwide, so you had to do a little bit of everything. It wasn't focused on anything. We thought we were, we had an area of operation when I was at SEAL Team 5, but hostage rescue was the big thing, and it had to happen anywhere in the world. So getting to work, you had to train in, jungle, swamp, desert, and cold weather, as well as temperate areas. So it was it was gear intensive and training intensive, and kept you busy. I was gone a whole lot during that time. Okay, so operating at night was also a big deal. So back when I was at Team 5, yeah, maybe 2 guys in the platoon would have night vision. And it was a big face mask thing that you kept tucked away, and you only pull it out, and you only use one eye, so you can maintain your night vision in your other eye. And you would like check and see something, and then put it away again. Well, we got done with Green Team, and as soon as I got into Gold Squadron, they had just started putting night vision on helmets and running it all the time at night. And of course, we didn't have one for everybody. So who gets the monos?
Yeah.
New guys.
Yeah.
So we're running around doing exercises. And when it's pitch black, you want to have binocular vision, okay? Because when it's pitch black and your unaided eye can't see, it wants to look out of that mono. So you get crossed up. You're stumbling all over the place.
Yeah, you get a headache from it.
Oh, big time. And then of course all the old guys are yelling at you for being too slow and holding them up because you're falling all over the place, and you want to impress them, But yeah, so that was the beginning of everybody wearing nods all the time, and operating at night.
When did you start to see the first gen of the SOCOM SOP mod package?
SOP mod was officially years down the road.
Right.
Okay.
This was all being developed.
Yeah, the
by
stuff,
the development group.
The stuff that we were putting on there, yeah, I was like, we're trying stuff out, man. So, we were running suppressed. Prior to that, nobody ran around suppressed. When you wear nods, no one could figure out how to actually, it wasn't easy lining up your aim point, which was probably about 8 inches long at the time, to your nods. So no one even tried it. The PEC 2s came in about that time, and we were running around on nods. And if you're going to shoot, you had your IR laser that you'd, laser and flood that you put on target, and it was pretty easy. You didn't have to bring it up in front of your face. You just kind of, you shouldered it and looked over the top and watched where your laser was pointing. And then that was for outside. Okay, so outside, you're sneaky, you're dark. You could, do stuff that nobody knew you were there, right? Once you got inside, white lights. It was like under the, just tilt your head back, turn on that white light, and use the red dot. So once you got into the, you're sneaking up, you're using IR, and once you got on target, we were white light, because we weren't staying long anyway. We figured we can get in, do what we had to do, and then we'd bug out.
Yeah, the tactics of the time, and then leading all the way up into where, I started out, fast, dynamic, button hook, HR dynamic with white light was really how it went. It was just, you're soft until you're hard, you're quiet until you're loud. You get into the structure, maybe you were able to get in quietly, or maybe you blew the whole front end of the building off, and everybody rushed in. But generally speaking, the SOP across NSW was that fast, dynamic button hook, old school HR.
Oh, yeah. We trained for the hostage rescue mission. That was it. Combat clearance was long.
Yeah.
Way after me. But yeah, that was where we're doing things, and again, we're just figuring things out. I mean, this was developing new tactics because nobody had done this before. We were leaning heavy on the SAS because they'd been pushing this for a while. They'd had to deal with their own, homegrown terrorist stuff going on over there. So we pulled heavily from them, and Delta as well. But you throw enough money at a problem, and you get the gear. You get a bunch of guys who are motivated to make the job happen. So we're learning to sew. We're sewing our own crap, and then going from there, and then maintaining that physical fitness aspect of it, because we were kicking our own ass all the time. Just to, if you couldn't do it in the absolute worst environment that you could think of. So When we did desert trips, it wasn't. It was during the middle of the the worst time. Middle of the summer, horrible. When we did winter trips, winter trips were to places that were just absolutely freezing. I was not a winter warfare guy. I'm from California. I didn't know how to ski. Holy crap! The first time I'm on cross country skis, I got a backpack on in the middle of the night, and I fell down so much that they almost left me.
Yeah.
Because
falling down, and it's a big part of the job.
Yeah. Falling down's not hard. Getting back up again. Getting back on
slipped,
the skis.
I have falled. That's not a word, but you get it. You understand. I hit my head a few times, so I'm allowed to say stupid shit like that.
Yeah. We're all working the TBI angles.
Yeah. It happens, It's gonna happen. So I know SOP mod and modern tactics, were really being developed at this time by development group, and if it was applicable, if there was an application for it, there was a group for that as well. Both kind of working side by side, so to speak. But as far as also the equipment, you kind of talked about how things were sewn together and everything was kind of DIY. Like it's interesting that he says that because the modern gear that we all have, the things that are standardized and the way that we run our equipment, it was all kind of in development leading up to 9/11, and then it was an instant trial by fire.
Yeah.
And if you look at early GWAT, Afghanistan and also like Iraq invasion, I mean, the stuff guys were wearing, it's just hilarious.
Well, we had the leeway, a lot of, regular Army type stuff. They were required to be uniform. They didn't give a crap about us. Hey, make it happen, make it work. So yeah, you'd have something that you needed. You would make the prototype, like, okay, if I only had, this attached to here on my gear. You'd make the prototype, and then there was a company called London Bridge Trading, and our guys would take this piece of gear that they made one of and say, hey, I need, 50 of these, to give them, because scale, you couldn't, sew that many. And then they would just kind of put it in their inventory, charge a butt ton for it. So we were their R&D department pretty much. And
I think Blackhawk basically started and worked the same way.
Yeah.
Another Virginia Beach,
Yep.
former alum startup.
Yep.
And it's all about just a common sense approach to get the job done. Because ultimately, it isn't about what unit you're in, it's about the job. The unit is just your means to get to and do the job with the best guys in the world, frankly. And, it's pretty cool to get to see like kind of that all kind of come together because, man, come 2001, we really needed it.
Yeah, so some of the training scars that we were getting, guys, breachers, I was a breacher, you're running around with a full-size shotgun. And, hey, when you just got to walk over to the kill house and, knock locks off of doors and blast hinges, that wasn't a problem. But as soon as the war started, it was like, now we've got to get to that place. You got to go through, miles of bad guy country before you get there. And if you're just rolling with just a shotgun, that's probably not the right answer. Yeah. So that's when we went to the little 10-inch shorty. And so I rolled with that through the time, I was, actually doing ops. But those things, that was what we were discovering. It's like, okay, here's these training scars that we got, and we didn't even know we had them because, oh yeah, of course I'm going to go full-size shotgun. No.
Yeah, they kind of been phased out as a primary weapon system. Just really the urban environment, yes, it's very, very close, but then also you get out onto the street now, it's, opening up to hundreds of yards. Yeah, shotgun started out as a kind of a combat weapon in that's World War One. World War One. I mean, they're awesome because everybody's running around with bolt action.
Trench gun, man. Yeah. That was great. But
and then of course they put them to good effect in World War II. I think more on the Pacific side.
And into Vietnam.
Yeah, again, because it was a jungle.
It
cuts through brush. You can't see anything. It's dark as hell in the middle of the day. Yeah. I mean, it worked, and our guys in Nam used them. It's more early on, I think, as things progressed, they kind of started to shy away from them for probably some of the reasons we've already spoken to. But yeah, I've noticed that in this era, is that full-size shotgun primary weapon was was kind of a thing, not just with the Navy side, but in law enforcement and other branches.
And I was kind of, I didn't trust the Benelli, automatics were a little finicky for me. So I was already on, working the pump. So yeah, going to that shorty was no big deal for me. Now, the mission sets during that time, again, a lot of training. And then towards the late 80s, as the whole Balkans thing was going on, we had some lower profile missions that we did over there. I really don't want to talk about those, but one of them that I can talk a little bit about is the Pifwick operations. It's personnel indicted for war crimes, and our job was to go grab them.
Go grab them.
And
turd recovery.
Basically
a hall technician at this point.
And it was a semi-permissive environment, so you had to kind of blend in with the locals.
Okay.
And that was what we did, and we were able to perform that mission well. Okay, yeah. And that's pretty much all I can say on that one. But we had some successes there, and again, that was like one of those things like more of a hook. This is, we're going to keep doing this kind of thing, because, I mean, none of us is praying for war or anything like that, but there are bad guys out there, and just being allowed to go get them, that was rewarding,
It is. It makes the world a better place.
Yeah. And I got our low profile game down. It was real world. You will want to do as much real world stuff as you could, and it showed us where our faults were and where we could get better. And it's like during the 90s, the whole 90s was working that up. And it would have continued on, had the World Trade Center not been attacked.
Yeah, which was kind of, in a way, the true ending of the 90s. But
pretty much, yeah. The 90s
party
ended
was
in
officially
2001.
over. It's time, all right, boy, time to go to work.
Yeah, there was a big shift at that
Plates
point.
in this time. I mean it.
Yeah, not kidding. I mean, because the Rangers had Mogadishu in the 90s, and there was stuff going on. There was bad guys that needed, to assume room temperature. And you wanted to be the guy that did it,
Makes the world a better place. Makes the world a safer place.
Yeah, that was the key. And I mean, we did this. We worked our way through, and then at the end of 2001. That was really the demarcation line between the mentality and the teams.
Schoolhouse.
It was definitely schoolhouse, and the unknown. You didn't know what you were training for. Yep, we knew exactly what we were training for after that. So that's where it went. Anyway, guys, that's just a quick down and dirty on my experience with the 90s. There is more, but like I said, can't really talk about it. But if you like this content, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave me a comment.
All right, guys, thank you. This is Coach and Door, out.